Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to thejeffcowan.com. This is the Jeff Cowan coming to you with my podcast, Right Service, Write Your Own Paycheck, the path to making $100,000 a year. Boy, we're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about, as a matter of fact, I'm in a really great mood. I just got to share that with you. A number of things are happening. Number one, I was just out on the road doing another workshop, and I do these all the time, but this thing is so successful right now, and people are getting such great impact from it. I've never been happier with it. The entire 30 years I've been in business, I've never gotten better results than I am right now. And you got to get yourself signed up for one of these. I'm going to be in Houston. I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. I'm going to be in Chicago. And you got to get signed up. If you're a business owner, send your people to me. If you're an individual, you want to use your private credit card, I'll even give you a student fee. Money won't keep us apart. You got to get to one of these things because I'll show you how to get the maximum sales, the maximum retention, the maximum survey scores. I'll show you how to be the best you can be. I'll put you on the path to make $100,000 a year, man. I'm just so excited about these workshops, man. It feels so good when you do them and you just knock them out of the park. I mean, just bam, 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 bam. Also got some good news. This book right here, Unstoppable, written by my good friend Dave Anderson. As I explained to you before, he invited several different authors to help him write this book. It was not help him write it, but contribute to it. It's his 14th book. He's an international bestseller. And it's doing so well in the United States of America that China just bought the rights to publish it over there. So it's kind of fun knowing that I'm in a book that's in China, all right, and whatnot. So anyway, enough about me. This week, we're going to talk about something in relation to what we talked about last week. I was talking about numbers and holding people accountable, and I got quite a few managers that called in and said, well, what's some, let's talk about closing ratios. What can we expect our people to close? Because you talked about that over the last few weeks about how you knew people that, they were thought to be great salespeople, but when you really looked at their numbers, there weren't. So what type of closing ratios were we looking at? And oddly enough, I got to tell you, I was a little bit surprised. We actually had some service advisors, many as a matter of fact, call in and say, you know what, I'm looking in the mirror now, you told me to do that, I'm being tough on myself, what type of closing ratios should I be looking at to consider myself a great closer? Well, that's easy. I talk about it all the time. I talk about it in my workshops, as a matter of fact. We talk a lot about closing. And we're going to start doing that in these podcasts. I'm going to start talking about closing and give you some great closes that work on any service drive. But to do that, let's talk about closing ratios. Service advisors, managers. The absolute minimum standard you should ever accept of yourself or of your people is a 70% closing ratio. That's the minimum. The minimum. All right. Now, when I'm saying 70%, I'm not saying 70% of the time an advisor goes out and they get part of a sale. I'm telling you 70%, 70% of the time they get everything they presented. They get the entire sale. All right. 70% is the minimum, and it can and should go higher. I mean, I got service advisors I could call right now that have a 90, 92, and even 93, 94% closing ratio. You say, no, wait a minute, Jeff, don't get too crazy here. I mean, that's some high numbers, but I'm telling you, they're numbers you can get, and there's reasons for that. But before I get in the reasons, 70%'s the minimum you should expect. Now, managers, let me share something with you. If you hire a brand new service advisor, all right, and within the first 90 days, they don't have at least a 70% closing ratio, meaning, again, 70% of the time they get the entire sale, not part of a sale, but 70% of the time they get the entire sale, they never will. All right? And service advisors, I can tell you this. If you've been on a service drive of any kind for at least 90 days and your closing ratio isn't at least 70%, meaning that 70% of the time you get the entire sale, it means you're simply doing something wrong. You're missing something. All right? 70% closing ratio. Now, here, and people say, well, 90 days, that didn't seem like a lot of time. Well, it doesn't seem like a lot of time until you factor this in. You write an average of 15 customers a day. That's 75 a week. That's 300 a month. So that means in 3 months' time as an advisor, you'll have been in front of 900 different customers. And let me tell you something. If you can't figure out how to close a sale in 900 attempts, you never will. Okay? You never will. So come on, all right? Now, here's the problem, though, with that 70% number. And then when I start talking crazy numbers like 90%, I start getting all kinds of pushback, all right? You get all kinds of pushback. And you get that pushback typically, for example, from somebody that's selling cars. You go tell a sales manager, desk manager who desks the deals, who negotiates the deals that, hey, I just got through listening to this podcast, and this guy told me as a service advisor I should have at least a minimum 70% closing ratio. It could be 92, as high as 92%. He or she is going to laugh you out of the business. What do you mean 70 to 90%, 92%, 93%? What is this guy getting his numbers? I mean, our best closer out here that delivers 30 cars a month, month, he only has a 30% closing ratio. And shoot, for selling cars, according to the National Automobile Dealers Association, the NADA, the national average is 24%. I mean, where's this guy getting these numbers? What's he smoking, right? Well, let me answer those questions. Number one, it's none of his business what I smoke. I'm on my own time, and hey, listen, I didn't vote for it in California. I just moved to California. Just kidding, all right? But where does he get those numbers? Where does he get those numbers? Okay, well, let me share with you where I get those numbers. It's real easy. You see, different products are sold based on different reasons, okay? A lot of times there's emotions involved. A lot of times there's not. So, I mean, so it's all kinds of different things. So, for example, cars, because he's right if he tells you that or she tells you that 24% is the national average in selling cars. It means if I talk to if I've talked to 4 people, 1 of them are likely to buy if I did everything right, okay, if I'm average. All right, so why is that? Well, you see, when you're selling cars, cars are sold based on hopes and dreams. You know, people come in dreaming you've got the right vehicle. And if you prove to them that you have the right vehicle, the dreaming quickly turns from dreaming to hoping you have the right payment. Put those two things together, the hopes and dreams come together, you sell a car, you deliver a car, happens 1 in 4 times. But service, on the other hand, has nothing to do with hopes and dreams. Nothing to do with hopes and dreams. What does it have to do with? Well, I'll share that with you in a second, but first I got to tell you about Lightspeed VT. They're over in Las Vegas, Nevada. Their telephone number 702-369-4260. They're my sponsor. You want to call them because as a business owner or manager, you want to get their training platform. Now, their training platform, what they're going to do is they're going to make it look like it's your training platform because it's going to put your colors, your logos, and everything on it, and they're going to take the training you already have that you've invested in over the years, and they're going to show you how to download it onto this platform. Now, when you download it, they're going to show you how to divide it up into small little videos or small audio things, and then they're going to show you how to create a testing program. Now, why is this important? Because now when you train your people, you know they watched it, but do they know it? With this one, they can watch it, they test on it, you know what they know, what they didn't know. It shows you the strengths and weaknesses like that, and here's what's great about it. They can use it on their phone, their iPads, computers, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If it hooks up to Wi-Fi, you can watch this platform. And you say, well, you know what? I don't have training. I want more training. Well, they have access to industry experts. They have access to all kinds of international trainers of all walks, from all fields. I mean, Lightspeed VT. I like their motto. They say training isn't something you did, it's something you do. I don't know. I don't know professional race car drivers, but I'll tell you what. You know what? I'll guarantee you that they're just sitting around right now. They're not waiting for the next race. They're practicing. You take the World Series champion Houston Astros last year. I'll guarantee you they're not sitting around doing nothing. They're practicing. They train. Training is something you do. It's something you do. So call Lightspeed. Tell them the Jeff Cowan told you to call. They'll do something special like give you a discount. Really powerful people there. So, what's the difference? We're talking about, you know, different sales have different motivations for the people to buy. We discuss how a car sells. The reason the numbers are so low, 24% closing ratio, is because it's built on hopes and dreams. People come in dreaming you've got the right car, prove to them you do it, it quickly changes to hoping you have the right payment. Put those two things together, you sell a car. So on service, what's the difference? Has nothing to do with hopes and dreams. It's all based on needs. You service advisors watching this, you service advisors listening to this know this. These customers come in, sometimes with brakes so bad they can't even stop their car. They have to Fred Flintstone it with their foot out the door trying to get the car stopped so it doesn't run into your back wall or the next car in front of them. Has nothing to do with hopes and dreams. It's all based on need. I mean, think about it. How many times do you think this conversation happens in a day, a month, a year, if ever? Guy buys a brand new car, him and his wife. Okay, it's a new Dodge pickup truck, and the guy looks at his wife as they're driving down the street in this brand new pickup truck that barely has 2,000 miles on it. But the guy looks at his wife and says this, hey, honey, I don't know about you, but I love this truck. And I know we're used to trading in cars every 4 or 5 years, but I can tell you right now, I'm going to keep this truck as long as I live. I love it. What do you think? And she said, I agree. I'm glad you agree, because here's what I was thinking. You know, I was reading in the paper this morning that even though this is a brand new vehicle with only 2,000 miles on it, that Dodge has got a brand new braking system they just brought out for next year's trucks. It's going to be like the best thing ever. And so I was thinking, since we're not doing anything today, maybe we could take our brand new truck with only 2,000 miles on it over to the dealership and have them put new brakes on it. What do you think, honey? How many times do you think that conversation has ever happened in the history of the world? I can tell you, I won't even make you answer. None. Why? People buy your product based on need. They buy it because they have to have it to keep the car running. They buy maintenance to make sure the car performs at top performance. Peak performance. It rides right. It handles right. It's efficient. It's economically sound. It's reliable. It's safe. It's secure for them and their family. That's why they buy maintenance to make sure those things happen. They buy repairs because if they don't repair the car, it won't run. If it won't run, they can't get to the grocery store. They can't get to the doctor. They can't get their kids to school, and they can't get to work. It has nothing to do with hopes and dreams. It has everything to do with pure need. That's the reason a minimum of 70% of the time you should close the entire cell when you're on a service drive, and managers should hold their people accountable to having at least a 70% closing ratio, meaning 70% of the time they get the entire cell and then work up from there. You know, I mean, these people out there that are making these $100,000, they don't have 70% closing ratio. They don't have a 24% closing ratio. Those are the people in the high 80s, low 90s. You know, and how do they get there? They practice, practice, practice. How do they get there? They train, train, train. How do they get there? They study, study, study. How do they get there? They look for new closes, look for new ways, look for ways to handle objections, look for better ways to make a presentation. That's what they do because it takes effort. So I got a lot of phone calls, got a lot of emails on that topic. What should closing ratios be? Now you know. 70% of the time you step on a service drive. 70% of the time your service advisors talk to one of your customers. They should get the entire sale regardless of price or anything else, not because of hopes and dreams, but because your people, your customers, have to buy it. Now, over the next few weeks, we're going to talk a lot about closing. We're going to give you some different closes, some of my favorites, closes that work on any service drive. We're going to tell you what it takes to be a closer. And we're going to talk about other things. It's not all going to be about closing from this point forward, but we're going to talk a lot about it over the next several weeks and help you become the best you can be, because that's what I want you to do. Now, if you don't want to wait to that, then go to thejeffcowan.com. Check out our DVDs. Check out our online training. Check out our books. Check out my workshops. I'm going to be in Chicago, Houston, Washington, D.C. You got to come and see one of these things. They're great. Talk about these other books. We have special packages put together where you can get all these books behind me. They're not only books, okay, but they also have video programs. And if you're a student, we'll even give you special student pricing. We can get you the books on how to write service, what I've learned about life from watching the Indy 500, Forgotten Rules of Salesmanship, which is over there, and then Never Unemployed Again, which I guess is over there. All these different things. We can get you the books. We can get you on video. We can test you on them and make you the absolute best that you can be, so you can have the maximum results, so you can have the lifestyle that you so deserve, because it's out there to get and you deserve to get it. So with that, hey, this is The Jeff Cowan coming to you from thejeffcowan.com with my podcast, Right Service, Write Your Own Paycheck, How to Make $100,000 a Year. And so that's what we got this week. I will see you next week. Please keep coming back. Please keep coming back. I love it when you listen. I love it when you call me. I love it when you email. I love you. So with that, make it a great week, because I can guarantee you this, I'm going to. Take care, folks. Thanks for listening.